सनातनाय सूक्ष्माय सुगुणाय सुशान्ताय सम्पूर्णाय सुशीलाय श्रीनिवासाय ते नमः। त्वत्पादधूलिभरितस्फुरितोत्तमाङ्गाः. Uttamangaha, the heads of these people, bharitaspuritottamangaha, is full and shining with what? Tvatpadaduli, with the dust from your feet. Which means the dust from Bhagavan's lotus feet is now in the heads of these devotees, and their heads are shining because it's bearing the Padatuli of Bhagavan. These devotees are now sanctified by the dust of Bhagavan's feet. What do we understand? It's like only if we are very close to Bhagavan, the dust can fall on us, right? So it speaks about those devotees who are very, very close to Bhagavan. That is why the dust from Bhagavan's feet is able to touch their head. Swargapavarga nirapeksha nijantarangaha. Swarga is the Swarga Loka. Pavarga is beyond that, which is the Moksha. Nirapeksha, they are ignoring that, not even interested in that. Nijantarangaha. In the Antaranga, in their hearts, they have only you. They ignore the Swarga and the Moksha, have only Sri Venkateshwara in their hearts. We have Punya Karma, we have Papa Karma. Depending on that, every activity can have a lot of consequence. Okay. So if our karmas are really good, positive, like the yajna, yagas, which the great people do, we can go to Swargadi Lokas, to the higher worlds. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, if you do some punyas and you go to Swarga, after you exhaust that punyas, you are thrown back into this loka. They will kshine punye madhya lokam vishanti. We will be incurring the good and bad deeds, the punya and papas, even in every activity that we do during our lifetime here. So what happens? We want to do some good thing. For example, I want to go give something in charity to a few people. While I'm walking to that, maybe there were some ants on the pathway, I just stamped them. That is going to lead to Papa Karma because I killed so many ants on the way, even though I did not realize it. Like this, what happens is, in the process of doing something good, there can be a lot of papas also which gets accumulated. So in one action, if so much of punya and papa gets accumulated, what happens in one day? What happens in a year? What happens throughout our lifetime? And I also mentioned earlier that the number of sand particles in the ocean can be counted. The number of births and deaths we've had can't be counted. So how much of punyas and papas we would have accumulated, right? It would be like huge mountains of punyas and papas. So what happens is, at any given point of time, we will not be able to exhaust this whole thing. So a little bit of punya, a little bit of papa, the combination is given for us to exhaust in this particular janma that we've taken, based on which we are born as a human being at this point of time. Now we try to attempt and exhaust whatever is given, which is called as the prarabdha karma. Prarabdha means arambam, it is started. Prarabdha means the karmas which have started giving its results to us. We are supposed to exhaust it in this birth. But that mountain still remains. The mountain of punya and papa which we've accumulated still remains, which is called sanchita karma. Okay. Now from that sanchita, a little by little we try to exhaust it here. In this process, we take a few more, accumulate it there. And then finally, we realize that the mountain is so huge, I'm attempting to, exhaust just a handful. And that itself is so tiresome. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, says Adi Shankara, right? What am I going to do? How do I come out of this cycles of births and deaths? That is when people say that you need to get rid of all your punyas and papas. So that is a state where you're not going to be reborn at all. So if you don't want the cycle of repeated births and deaths, you get rid of it. That is by Bhakti Marga or Prapatti Marga, and that is what is mentioned, right? That is moksha. What the author says here is surrender to Sri Venkatesha. Pada Dulit Paritaha. They all are near your feet. They get salvation because they've surrendered to you, oh Bhagavan. They are not even interested. After taking so much of effort, so many births, wanting to exhaust, they have gained their Swarga and they have gained their Apavarga, but they are ready to give it up to have your darshan, oh Bhagavan. So what kind of bliss is this? So the greatness of Venkateshwara's darshan is compared to even giving up the greatness of Swarga and Apavarga. So let's not get this wrong thinking that Apavarga is not required. Apavarga is the purpose of life. But now to show the greatness of Venkatesha, it is said that they are even ready to get rid of this. So that is the emphasis. Kalpagamaakalanaya kulatam labhante. Akulatam, fear, apprehension. What is their fear? Kalpagamaakalanaya, reckoning that day when the kalpa might end. The cycle of sun is 365 days. The cycle of Mars, we say it's 2 years. The cycle of Jupiter is 12 years. The cycle of Saturn is around 29.5 years. So what happens is this cycle, every 60 years, the years get repeated, we say. So this kind of cycle happens. After that, what happens? 360 days from our side becomes a day of Devas. The time span of Brahma is very different from our time span. So what happens is we have a concept called yugas in Sanatana Dharma, where now we are in the Kali Yuga. All of us are familiar with that, right? So Kali Yuga, prior to this we had the Dwapara Yuga, prior to that the Treta Yuga. Even before that we had the Krita Yuga. All these four combined together is called Chatur Yuga. 1000 Chatur Yugas is called as one Kalpa, which is one daytime of Brahma. So this sloka, it says Kalpa Gama. Now the Kalpa is called as a Shweta Varaha Kalpa. And our Srinivasa Bhagavan in Tirumala is the Avatara Murti for this Kalpa. After this Kalpa, end of Kalpa, he is going to go off. Now all these great celestials, devotees who are very, very close to Bhagavan, who are having the darshan, but now their worry is that what do we do at the end of the Kalpa? When we are sitting in a particular thing that we enjoy doing it, say we are possibly watching a movie or attending a session which we all love, or we are with the kids or, our favorite group of people, time just flies. But if you're sitting in a place where you don't relish what's going on, the time expands, right? It looks like way too long. So this is called as the Bhavanatha Ganitam, which is like your emotion decides the time. At that point of time, you don't even know what kind of time is happening. So for these people who are filled with the love, the devotion for Srinivasa Bhagavan, they're like, what are we going to do after the Kalpa expires? That is the bhava that is brought here. In fact, one of my favorite things as far as the Bhavanatha Ganitam goes is a beautiful sloka from Gopika Geetam. The Gopikas are waiting for Bhagavan now. Bhagavan has gone to the forest. Little Krishna, he's gone along with all his Gopas friends to the forest. Now, these girls are not able to tolerate the separation, till the time Bhagavan comes back. So they are singing in their Gopika Geetam. Oh my God, when you are not there, how does it feel for us? Atati yad bhavan ahnikananam tritiyukayate tvama pashyatam. Basically, here they use beautiful words. If you just notice, Atati yad bhavan ahnikananam. When you go off to the forest during the daytime, Triti is one of the smallest measurements of time, which is 1 by 1700th of a second. Now, what are these Gopikas saying? They're saying this Triti Yugayate. It feels like one whole yugam for us, oh Bhagavan. So the separation from you makes us feel that Kriti itself is a yuga. So please don't leave us alone because we are not able to tolerate the separation. So this shows that, the kind of longing, the intensity of the longing that these devotees had. Sri Venkatachalapate, Tava Suprabhatam. O Bhagavan Sri Venkatesha, let this be a Suprabhatam to you. Pada Duli Baritas Puritottamangaha. So they are very, very close to you, that the dust from your feet is touching them. So he's not even mentioning who is this devotee he's speaking about. So the closeness, the vicinity of the devotee to Bhagavan is visible here. Who can be that close to Bhagavan, that his dust from the foot is falling on them? It can be great devotees like Alvars, Acharyas, right? Where the lotus, Bhagavan is standing on the lotus, the petal, the dhuli, dust from the lotus is now touching the head of the devotees because their head is in the feet of Bhagavan. They are Sharanagata. That is the message we get from this. And what is their mindset like? Swarga Pavarga. Let it be Swarga. Let it be Apavarga. In order to go there, there are a lot of rituals that are mentioned, which are not easy to do. You have something called as the Swarga Kama Yajna. You have to perform that with so much of effort to do it. And after doing all this, Nirapeksha, they are not interested in this. Nijantaranga, the only thing in their heart is to have the darshan of Bhagavan. But then they are worried. Kalpagama, during the Kalpa Agamana Samayam, what are we going to do? There are billions of years for that, but their timeline is different, right? So what are we going to do when we get the end of Kalpa? And then all of them are singing Sri Venkatachalapate Tava Suprabhatam. Tvatpadadhuli-bharitaspuritottamāṅgāः Swargāpavarga-nirapekṣa-nijantarangāः Kalpāgamā-kalanaya-kulatāṃ labhante Sri Venkatachalapate Tava Suprabhatam. Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmana va pranude svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami.